Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. The time is 3:23 p.m. on the 12th of October 2024. It's a beautiful day. I haven't had much sleep, which is, how I am after a wonderful wild night of moshing and dancing, and had a wonderful night last night at the Brooklyn Standard. It was just nothing short of awesome. The night started off, I got there towards the last part of their last set, because I got there about 10. But I got to see the last set of the Mad Mariachi, which was really quite wonderful. And they play there on Mondays, and I haven't yet got round to getting there on a Monday, because usually by Monday I'm still recovering from the wild dance on Friday. So it was good to be able to see them, and the lady violinist was quite wonderful, and the guy that played, was it a trumpet or a trombone? I'm not sure. Wonderful. And the man playing the guitar, wonderful. And there was a whole family of Mexican, I think they were Mexican Latino family. They were all celebrating their birthdays, and I was just standing around holding onto my gear, which I usually tuck in the corner, but I didn't want to invade them because I could see they were having a birthday celebration, and I didn't want to push in on them like I usually do, and it's just random drunk people sitting there. So I'll be polite and respectful. And anyway, after a while, one of the couples said, no, you come, you sit here, and they were so welcoming and lovely, and the mother danced with me too, and I felt really kind of appreciated and valued and cherished, and I've never met this family before, so it was just delightful. And and then Ramjet came on. Of course, I was there primarily for Ramjet, and we got into it. We all got into our zone, and the energy was flying everywhere, and Mama T was doing the mad mosh. I was even moshing to songs that just had a 1-2 kind of beat, not usually traditional moshing songs, but I felt the need to just be wild and free and flip my hair around. I had a wonderful time, and some women that I've met there before came and joined me. They were lovely, and they introduced me to their male friends, who were also very courteous and sweet, a little bit like looking at me a bit warily actually, which I found a bit odd, but I thought that's okay. I'd rather that than they're trying to sleaze onto me, the men. No, they were lovely, and one of the men it was his birthday, so I was like, happy birthday, and he's just like looking at me like, what? Because his friend told me it was his birthday. So anyway, at the end of the night, I was moshing quite intensively, and he was facing Ness and Timmy and Nathan and Licker, and that man, I didn't get his name, was facing opposite me, and it was like kind of cute, but I was conscious that he was kind of joining in with me shyly. And then at the end, when he left, he was just like waving to me like we were the best of friends, but we never actually spoke to each other apart from me blowing him little kisses to wish him happy birthday. So that was a bit unusual, but nice people. I have met that particular group of people before. The Cher, the blonde lady, long blonde hair. She said, my hair's fake. I went, what? And she showed me. Well, it looks fabulous, darling. Had like fake hair down to here. So I'm trying to grow my hair that long, but it won't grow because my hairdresser snips it off, and I've got horribly fine hair, so it gets a lot of breakage. But anyway, she looked great, and she's just so bubbly and effusive and extroverted. And when she arrived, she was like, oh my God, you're here, Tanya. And she introduced me to all her friends. And she's a really delightful woman. Really delightful. And she kept taking my fan, which was getting annoying after a while, to be honest. But you know what? I don't really care. Fans are a bit broken anyway, so if they break it anymore, big deal. I need another one. So I figure, let them be playful. But she was such a lovely woman, and her friend Katie was also very out there and wild and carefree. And then her other friend Shazza or Sharon, she was quite wonderful too. I was impressed with her. She had a nice corset on, in a very long ankle length or shin length leather skirt. It was a beautiful skirt, dressed beautifully, and they were just such nice people. It's not about, I don't care about so much about what people dress, but I just took note of it. And they were just such nice, down-to-earth, friendly, real, authentic people, and there was no competition or jealousy or no edge to it. It was just delightful. You know, actually the whole night was delightful. Even with the Mexican family earlier, they were all so warm and welcoming and sweet. And then another couple of women arrived that I actually got off to a bad start with some months ago, and they were like getting closer and closer to me, and they always want to get real close to me, and it creeps me the fuck out, to be honest. They're not bad women. We sorted out our issues in the first night when we met, when there was a bit of a misunderstanding, or I was in one of my fucking moods, which can be awkward. But anyway, no, but I noticed they kept moving closer and closer, and then to the point where one of them was just about, you know, merging with me. I was like, oh dear goddess, why do people do that? But then I thought, look, they just, I don't know why, but they're just kind of, that those two women just kind of a bit obsessed with me. I met the blonde one in the loos, and she's like, oh, hello, love, and I'm so happy to see you. And I'm like, what the fuck? But they weren't nasty, like they weren't being nasty. They were just genuinely, what's the word? Maybe a little bit too oppressive, you know, just too wanting into my energy. But everyone else was lovely. There was another lady dancing beside me too. She kept smiling, and she told me she's just in the middle of getting a divorce, and it's ugly, which of course all divorces are fucking ugly, so I'll never marry again. It's not the marriage I fear, it's the fucking divorce. And it's not even the divorce itself, it's the fucking lawyers and how they fucked me over at every turn in my divorce. I had to sack three lots of lawyers before I did my own divorce in the end through the government for free. And when you get something for free, you don't get very bloody much. You get fucked over royally there too. Oh, the whole thing was a fuckery without end, and I'm still bitter about it 30 years later. So anyway, when she said I'm going through a divorce, I went, oh, I understand, honey. And then some guy was like trying to sleaze onto it. Look, he seemed like a nice enough man, but he just took one look at her, and he had to have it was that kind of vibe, you know. And he moved in for the kill, and I watched him move in for the kill on her the first time. I didn't get involved though, because not my monkey, not my circus. We're all adults. And but she kind of gently kind of sloughed him off, let her know she wasn't interested, and I just nodded to her, because she did it very gently and very politely, and he went away for a while, and then he came back and tried to move in on her again, and she just turned her face to me like this. So then I got involved. I just said to him, sorry love, you got no show, she's got a lovely man at home. And he went, what? And I went, she's got a man, she's not interested in you, bye. And he went, and then she turned to me and she said, I don't actually have a man, I'm in the middle of an ugly divorce. I went, yeah, I know. I said, but technically you have a man in the background there somewhere, so it's not technically a lie. And also, how do they know? It's not their business anyway. I said, it's nicer to tell them that you have a man than to tell them that he's giving off fucking, you know, rape culture, rapey predator vibes, which he was actually that man. Wouldn't take no for an answer till I put my foot down. It's funny how with women around me, when I go into protector mode, like, they leave them alone then. But when the woman themselves tries to say, can you please leave me alone, they won't leave them alone. So sometimes you just have to be Mama T and say, bing, bang, boom, baby, out. Anyway, he left her alone after that, so I was glad. But yeah, that was the only little bit, not even bad unpleasantness, just telling someone, no, she's not interested. But yeah, anyway, apart from that, I had a wonderful time, very wonderful time. And then the astonishing thing, at the end of the night, a very young woman was dancing sort of in front of the stage, and she kept looking over at me, and pointing to me. I pointed back. I thought, is she being aggressive? What's her deal? You know, I wasn't buying into it because I'm in my zone and I'm happy, right? And I was fully in my trance state, actually, to be honest, because I've been washing for hours. Pardon me. And I was just observing. Very pretty young woman. Anyway, as soon as the band finished, I popped a big chunk of an ice cube into my mouth, like a big chunk. I got my mouth full of ice, so I couldn't talk. And then she just suddenly appeared in front of me, like she must have moved fast to stand in front of me because I didn't even see her move in. And she says to me, I just want to ask you, it's going to seem like a very weird question, she said. And I looked at her. I thought she was going to ask me if I was a lesbian, actually. I don't know why I thought that, but anyway. I was waiting for her to kind of hit on me in a way. I was like, what's going on here? Anyway, she just looks at me and she says, and I'm like, trying to chop through my eye. So my name's Greta. I couldn't even introduce myself because I was still trying to get the ice into like bite-sized pieces so I could talk. It was quite comical, actually. And he's going to ask you a weird question. It's going to seem very weird. She said, are you a witch? I was so surprised. I just looked at her and I went, when I eventually got my ice out of the way, I said, actually, I said, I'm a Jew. Tonight is the beginning of Day of Atonement. I said, but I'm out in honour of the old gods because I'm rebelling against my own Jewishness, which is kind of weird in a way. And especially since I felt so guilty about it all day. Should I go dancing? Should I not go dancing? And I thought, well, man, you know, I get joy out of dancing, whereas I got no joy out of going to temple all the years, being vilified and abused for doing nothing wrong but showing up. My children being abused at times too. Fuck that shit. So anyway, I thought, I'm going to go dancing. I'm going to do what I always do every Friday night. Just keep living my very unusual, alternative, witchy lifestyle. So I turned to this young girl. Greta was her name. She said she's got Black Irish, she said, which goes back to Spain when the Spanish came to Ireland. Black Irish and Scandinavian. I said, I can see the Scandinavian in you. Very pretty. Very pretty she was. Straight to her hair in a motherly way, you know. She said, I knew you were a witch. I said, yes, I'm out worshipping the old gods the only way I know how, which is to mosh my neck off till my head just about falls off. And I said, that's my thing now. And we need the old gods to be venerated again and get everyone back into loving nature and living in harmonic resonance with all that is, was, and ever shall be, and forget all the Abrahamic things. Well, you can't forget it when you're a Jew. That's why I still feel terribly torn in a way. But just honour our traditions in a way that is more inclusive and encompassing is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, she was a lovely, lovely woman. She said, I knew you were a witch as soon as I saw you, and I had to ask. She said, I just saw that vibe straight away. I said, are you a witch? She said, yes. I said, oh, that's lovely. And I admired her jewellery, and she admired mine. And very nice young woman, very nice young woman. But I thought, isn't that interesting? I had just said to my friend Margot down the road when I went for my little afternoon walk with Charlie yesterday. She said, are you going dancing tonight? I said, well, I'm in a weird headspace and it's Yom Kippur tonight. Quite frankly, I should not be going anywhere. I should be fasting, which means no drinking at all, not even water, no food, no bathing or washing, no makeup, no, not even brushing your teeth. I'm praying for 24 hours. I said to her, but I pray by dancing. I work things through my body meridians that way. And I said, there's always someone when I'm out, because I'm in service to the gods. I said, there's always someone that needs me. And I turned my head when I said it to her, because I was like, Who needs me in the Brooklyn Standard? No one fucking needs me there. We all bring our own energy and we contribute, to the atmosphere, and no one per se needs me there. I mean, there were a few people over the past 12 months that I did do a bit of counselling or healing with, but not planned, just spontaneously, because the one man was crying over his dead mother, which I get. Anywho, so here's the weird thing. I'd said that to Margot earlier in the afternoon, and then I met that young, girl that's a witch too. And she said, oh, I just feel so comforted seeing you, Tanya, and knowing that there's other witches out in the world. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. So she kind of needed to see that, I guess. And then I found out why I was needed as I was walking to the car. This young gay man approached me. He was off his nut. I think don't think he was on heroin, because he would have been, on the nod kind of thing. But he was on something, and he had track marks, which, made me think he was on heroin, but he said no, he uses needles for meth. I thought, oh dear God, it's just vile. But anyway, he started chatting to me, and he was friendly enough, and he wasn't threatening, although there was shades of when he got a bit tickety-boo, and I was like, don't get like that with me. I've got PTSD, I won't talk to you. Oh, okay, Tanya. He was actually quite lovely to me. So I bought a meal and I shared my meal with him. He had first up had offered to buy me a lemonade at Hungry Jack's. And I thought, well, I'm there, I'll buy a meal. So he bought the drinks and I bought a meal. And we shared it. And then he asked for my phone number. So I've got no friends and no one talks to me. And I'm so grateful you spent time with me at the end of your night dancing. You just met me in the street walking past. It was a bit unusual what I did, actually, to be honest. I'm not even sure what that was about. You see, I have to go with my angels. If my angels say, be kind to this person and give them your time and energy. I usually do, unless they're rude and hostile. Here's the interesting thing. We get to the mall and there was some kind of Asian guy. Don't know if he was Chinese. He looked Nepalese, to be honest. He was off his nut on some substance too. He came up and just kind of garbled at us. And my new acquaintance, who was also off his nuts, going, what's with him, Tanya? What's with him? He was getting all paranoid. I was like, this is all I need. Two men off their nut on some drugs, starting to fight, right? So I just said, he's having his own dreaming. Just let it go. Don't engage. He's off his nut on some substance. And I looked at him. He's like, I've been clean for 3 months. And I thought, bullshit, you've been clean for 3 months. That track mark is fresh. How I know these things is because I had a young friend who was a heroin addict. It's funny that I mentioned her only a few days ago in a video. And then I was confronted with someone I'm pretty sure was on the gear or on something heavy. But we had an interesting encounter where we sat, had a meal together. I suggested we listen to the busker. Then he got paranoid about the other guy that was off his nut, who was actually hostile. I said, don't get hostile with me. I said to this tall Asian dude, don't start that shit with me. I'm not here for that. And he just laughed and walked off. I thought, that's my angels protecting me again. Then there was another guy in the mall who I think was Aboriginal. He just kept staring at me too, because they're all in their own little fucking delusional fantasy world. Anyway, I just kept my distance, and he started shadow boxing some guy that walked past him. Josh was making fun of it. I said, don't make fun of it. And he was like, why? And I went, he laughed. Don't engage with the lunatics at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, actually, by then it was about 3:30. I got home at 4. So anyway, and then Josh wanted to walk me to my car. Any excuse, what he was hoping, right? Even though he was gay, and there was no sexual agenda at all, he was a young man and he was gay and off his nut on drugs. I think he was hoping that I'd say, come home and you can sleep at my place or stay with me. I can't do that. Can't go there. I'll have a meal with them and I'll talk to them, but I can't bring them to my home. This is my safe haven, my sacred space. My sacred space. I said that twice, didn't I? Yes. Anyway, I felt really awful because he goes, why won't you give me your phone number? I've got no friends. We could be friends. So I promise I won't bring chaos to your life, Tanya. And I just closed my eyes. And when I closed my eyes, I remembered all the nightmarish hells I went through with Gail and Christina and Talia and Lucy. As I said, I had a lot of love for Lucy because she was a survivor of a kidnapping at 14, CSA survivor too. I just can't go there. I can't have people who are on heavy substances in my life. I don't mind if they smoke a bit of the wacky tobacco, or if they drink, not too heavily, or, I probably even tolerate it if they just do a little bit of speed or something occasionally, or the odd magic mushroom. But when they're on fucking, speed is meth anyway, but when they're mainlining fucking meth or heroin or cocaine or ecstasy or some other shit, I can't be in my life. I can't deal with that shit. Well, I don't have to, do I? Some stranger I met in the street on my way home. Dear goddess. Anyway, as I wrote on Facebook today, I kind of have to laugh. I wrote, I'm not bloody Jesus, and I don't have to deal with this shit kind of thing. How did I put it? I can't remember. Can't find it now. Anyway, back to Crondon we go. Back to my isolated but safe and relatively happy lifestyle, free of people that are toxic and potentially dangerous and emotionally harming. And that's how it has to be, babies. It's how it has to be. I want true love in my life. And by true love, it doesn't have to be a romantic thing, but I want true, loyal, faithful friendships. And if I take a lover one day, I want someone with eyes only for me, who's truly loyal and loving and faithful to me, not me and every fucking everyone else. And I've never been able to achieve that in my life, so I'm going to let it go and just forget about it. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So I'll just honour my own gods of my own understanding, the Fae, the angels, my Jewish God when we're on talking terms. He's probably not talking to me at the moment because I did everything opposite of Yom Kippur you could possibly do, except I didn't have sex, because I never have sex. So, there's no need to abstain because I already abstain. It's the stain that keeps giving, babies. But anyway, I kind of have to laugh how I went out and it was completely wild. I met wild men and women and had a wonderful time. And that was my Yom Kippur. So, anyway, I've decided, since I'm creating every day in every way a beautiful life for myself, a life that is uplifting and soul nourishing and beautiful and almost fucking holy, but without turning into in practical terms, I already am a nun, I suppose. But I mean, without turning into an ascetic, abstemious, locked up, sex deprived, love starved, hermitage completely. I'm going to focus on building a life where I am loved, valued, cherished and adored, respected, cared for, protected if necessary. Young Josh was wanting to protect me from the other drugged out demons, which I thought was very sweet. And I thought, we just don't need those kind of dramas, do we? And, so, and as I'm manifesting a beautiful love life for myself that's holy, HOLY, and HWHOLLY, wholly mine, meant for me, you know, choosing me by heart, mind, body, spirit, and the soul belongs to God, but from the depths of their soul too. Someone that's really mine. And since I'm manifesting that, and probably will be manifesting that till the day I die, babies, oh, my heart just did a little pinch because it is what it is. But there are many forms of love in the known multiverse, and what happened last night with young Josh, even being upset that I wouldn't take him on as a friend, was still a loving act that I did for him, quite frankly. Not many other women coming home at the end of the night would have been sanguine and serene enough to do that. So that too was love. But anyway, what am I saying here? I've decided to channel all my energies into building a beautiful life that is loving and authentic and cherishing and soul nourishing. So I've decided today's stories I'll be reading from the first love stories, from Isis and Osiris to Tristan and Isolde. So I've decided to read to you, I don't know quite how to pronounce it actually, Layla and Majnun. I'll say Majnun, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So again, it's going to irritate the crap out of anyone who speaks Arabic and or is Muslim or, you know, of Middle Eastern descent, not being able to pronounce that name. But I've picked this at random, I thought, because it's a story I've never read before, and the others I know the stories, kind of, sort of. So I thought, let's read something I've never heard before, and I can see already it's going to be a doozy. I might even start crying. It's going to be synchronistic. It's going to push all my buttons. But that's how the gods get me to process my my non-existent love life. So it is what it is. Sometimes it's a little bit fucking masochistic having to read Jungian synchronicities, but this is what the gods decree, the gods decree. So the subtitle is Let Me Love for Love's Sake. Let us begin, my darlings, my beautiful ones, my fellow humans on planet Earth. Remember Aleister Crowley, love is the law, love under will. It's true. Unfortunately, Mama T is she's such a fool. She really is a fucking idiot. But never mind, I'll be a fucking idiot till the day I die, so I have to live with that, and it's no one else's problem but mine. 30 years of therapy couldn't remedy it, and it's some pre-programmed curse I came from, and I was hoping it would change by now, by the age I am now, but alas, no. There's no good crying over it. I just have to accept it and maintain my own personal power and keep control over my emotions and hold my spirit in check. Spirit is like wanting to fly everywhere, almost like an avenging fucking angel, but how does that resolve anything? Just have to accept that my heart has been sword and discord yet again, but not sexually, thank God. So I can be grateful for that I wasn't used and abused in that way like has happened in the past. So I'm very grateful and appreciative that, you know, I've been loved in astonishing ways at this time. So astonishing, but it didn't end up being tainted by something sordid and ugly, and I'm very grateful for that, because that too is is an expression of true love, respecting that I need to be cherished and protected and guarded and adored and admired and held precious, but always held, of course, like a snow globe on a shelf somewhere, shaken and stirred and put away. And I don't like being shaken and stirred, babies. Don't poke the fucking bear. Don't play games with my heart. Anyway, the love remains no matter what. I take it with me to wherever I go in the next dimension. Because it was beautiful and it was powerful, even only from my perspective. I can't speak for anyone else's emotions or headspace or heart space. I can only say how I feel about things, and I feel that, a space was created for me to be so welcomed at the Brooklyn Standard. But I kind of also carved that niche for myself a bit too, by my own unique personality and magic. So I won't aggrandise any other people too much, but I know that that space was carefully curated for me because certain people wanted to see me have joy and delight and fun, and maybe even find a loving partner one day. So there is that. And the dance will continue, people of Earth. The dance will always continue. So let us begin with the story now. Not my love story, but someone else's. Long ago, in the desert of Arabia, there lived many great chieftains. The greatest of the chieftains was the chieftain of the tribe of the Banu Amir. He had wealth beyond imagining, piles of gold and jewels, precious silks and carpets, herds of the finest goats and camels. But rich as he was in worldly goods, Charlie! But rich as he was in worldly goods, it should read, he was richer still in the goodness of his heart, which is the greatest wealth a human being can have. I value that more than any fiscal or monetary or, earthly wealth, because I've experienced what people with ugly hearts are capable of since early childhood, babies. He ruled with perfect justice. He was generous. He welcomed every traveller to his camp. His tribesmen prospered. They loved and honoured him. And the Sayyid, as this chieftain was reverently called, was content. But for one thing, he had no heir. Oh God, I'm going to get triggered about my fucking not having grandchildren again, aren't I? Told you, it doesn't matter what story, there's always something in it that triggers me. Oh, well anyway, he had no heir. At least I had the joy of raising my daughters to adulthood. I did have that joy, and it was the biggest love of my life actually, and the greatest joy for quite some years until intergenerational trauma came into play, and they became teenagers and they started acting out. And well, there were reasons for that too. We were put under immense pressure as a family of women, under constant attack. So of course it was all going to go rancid. It was a given. Even my mother predicted that would happen. Mind you, she was part of the problem too. But anyway, let's move on with the story. It's not all about me, babies. So I'll try to not segue every time something is a trigger. As the years passed, the Sayyid became more discontented. He did not consider all that fortune had given to him, but instead he brooded on what he had been denied. Of what use are my jewels and gold if I have no one to give them to? A man does not live if he has no son to carry on his memory. There she is. I thought she was in the guava tree. He prayed. He increased the fervour of his prayers, and at last God gave him his heart's desire. His wife gave birth to a son. Dear Goddess. At birth, the infant Case, Qays, infant Case, was of extraordinary beauty. At birth, very rare for a baby that's just been born to be beautiful. They're usually ugly as hell. Mothers always lie and say how beautiful their baby is, but we all know really. Although Crystal was very attractive, apart from she had a big stalk mark. I've done it again, haven't I? She had this big stalk mark on her forehead and at the back of her head from the forceps delivery, but she was an extremely beautiful looking baby, apart from that. But most babies are hideous, to be honest. Oh, but anyway, at birth, the infant Keys was of extraordinary beauty. When he was 2 weeks old, his face was as round and beaming as a full moon, and every year his beauty increased. During this time, the Sayyid was known to have said, "Is there any man on earth as fortunate as I?" When the boy was of school age, he was sent to study. He was so quick of mind that when he was given a pen, he mastered writing, and when he was given a book, he learned to read. He excelled in all disciplines, but most of all, he excelled in the art of conversation. Communicate, people, communicate. His schoolmates delighted in listening to him, for when he spoke, his words were as sweet as music, his wit as sharp as an arrow, and his wisdom as lustrous as a pearl. Then, one day, after several years, the daughter of a mighty chieftain came to study in the school. This little girl was like a jewel that one seldom sees. She was as slender as a cypress. Her skin was as white as milk. Her lips and cheeks the colour of roses, and her dark eyes, both gentle and bold, could pierce a man with one glance. Because of her lustrous black hair, she was called Layla, which means night. From the moment Layla entered the classroom, Keys could neither read nor write. He could only stare at her in wonder. "Layla," he whispered as if in prayer. "Layla." All that day and all the next, he could say no word but Layla. How does that song go? Layla, got me on your mind, Layla. It's Layla, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, just made me think about it. As the days passed, while the others played in the courtyard or studied, Keys did nothing but gaze at Layla. Soon the other children noticed, which was plain to see, and since they were too young to understand love, they laughed at Keys. They pointed at him and said, "Keys has lost his heart. Keys has lost his head. Keys loves Layla." Keys, or Keys, I have to stick to how are we going to pronounce it? Keys. It triggers me because it sounds too much like Case, which is my Uncle Case's name, and it's a fucking trigger. It's like, how does this even happen to me? It's not even spelt the same way, people of Earth. Let me just breathe a moment. Dear goddess, haunted everywhere I turn, even with an Arabic name I can't pronounce right. Kays tried to hide his love, but his eyes returned of their own will to Layla's face. As for Layla, she would lower her head and blush. Then she would raise her head, blush and smile shyly back at Kays. Each of them had become intoxicated with the scent of a flower that has no name. At night they went eagerly to their beds to dream of each other, and in the morning they rushed to school so they could inhale the fragrance of their love. Hopefully it didn't smell like stale socks, am I right? Oh, Mama T had to ruin that imagery for a little bit there. It's probably why I don't have a love life. I'm too realistic. But the other children missed Kays. They were jealous of his affections for Layla. Behind the teacher's back they taunted him. Have you heard? Kays loves Layla. Kays loves Layla. At last, Kays could no longer contain himself, and one day in the middle of the classroom, while the others were reciting their lessons, he stood up and shouted, Layla, Layla, Layla. Then he ran from the classroom into the streets and bazaars shouting her name, Layla, Layla. People who watched him shook their heads and said, he is a Majnun, a Majnun. And so it was that Kays came to be called Majnun, which means madman. Well, love will do that to you, honey. True love will always send you a little bit psychotic. My babies. Oh, well anyway, Mama T will snap out of it because for love to be true, it has to be real and it has to be reciprocated and it has to be, as I said, holy, and passionate and romantic and devoted and loyal and faithful and generous and kind and respectful. That's what I'm wanting. That's what I have to hold out for. Have to. The alternative is not pleasant people, and I've been down that pathway before. Not going down that pathway again because of a man's cruelty or sadism ever again. No, won't be happening. When Layla's father heard that a young man had insulted his tribe by shouting his daughter's name in the streets, he ordered Layla to be taken from the school and brought to the desert camp where she was confined to a tent. Majnun sat listlessly. Come on, little one, you're such a good girl. She was climbing the cord to get up there. Majnun sat listlessly in the classroom, staring at her empty place. I love you. I know. When he could no longer bear her absence, he fled to the desert and walked until he came to the tribe of Layla's people. He hid behind a tree and waited, hoping for a glimpse of his beloved. Oh, my beloved's a birdie. I'm a lucky Mama T, aren't I? I have so much love in my life. Yes, I do. So much love in my life. Kissy, kissy. One night, Layla, restless and sleepless, went to the door of her tent. Majnun suddenly appeared, and in the moonlight they gazed at each other. Sweetness, really. It is sweet. It is sweet when you love someone. It's a magic, all of little container of little magic, all of its own. And if only people could keep it together and keep it precious, it would be the greatest jewel in the known cosmos. Some people have that. It's lovely. I love with the soul of a poet or an artist. Have you noticed? I love too much. It's destructive at times. I'm very conscious of that, people. It's part of my damage. So when I pull back, it's necessary for mental health reasons, for everyone concerned, but especially also including mine. And it's just one of my gifts that I came preordained with, unfortunately. So that's why it's so deeply painful when things turn to shit. Anyway, it is what it is. Here it said, Majnun suddenly appeared, and in the moonlight they gazed at each other. They saw reflected in each other's faces their own fear and pain and love. Dear goddess. I know how that goes. Had that happen recently, actually. It was intense. It was fucking intense. The entire club saw it happen. Fuck me. No, don't fuck me. Don't ever fuck me over ever again. But the soul knows, babies. The soul knows. Mama saw the soul. Never mind. Never mind, my darlings. I love you, but I'm setting everyone free. Freedom to the people. When dawn came, Majnun turned and fled. Yes, Charlie. After that evening, Majnun lost his heart. And as he lost his heart, he lost his reason. He wandered in the desert, and as he wandered, he tore his clothes and wildly sang his songs. From afar, people would say, "There goes Majnun," once called Kays, because of his love for Layla. He wanders in the desert and brings dishonor to his father and his tribe. The chieftain of the Banu Amir grieved greatly. He summoned his councillors to him, and each gave an account of what he had heard. After careful consideration, the chieftain said, "My son has lost his senses. Layla is the jewel through which he sees the world. If he wins Layla, his senses may be restored." Sorry, I just have to take a few breaths. It's just I'm flashing back to last night, the power of the mosh and the dance, and how everyone in the band was kind of looking at me, and I realised that I looked demonic or crazy, but they all kind of there's a moment in usually right round about midway through the second or into the third set where even the musicians just kind of shift their focus onto me. I don't know what that's about, except that we're all in a kind of a trance. Them from performing, playing all the notes, from singing, and me from whatever the fuck it is I'm doing. It's very intense but kind of soul nourishing. Like even that young lass that approached me at the end of the night asking me if I was a witch, she was picking up on the energy too. And it's not done maliciously, it's just pure magic, pure heartfelt joy and delight and bliss, and wow, Anyway, I guess I'll have to make some decisions about whether I continue with all of that too. Anyway, sorry. The chieftain of Banu Amir grieved greatly. He summoned his councillors to him, and each gave an account of what he had heard. After careful consideration, the chieftain said, "My son has lost his senses. Layla is the jewel through which he sees the world. If he wins Layla, his senses may be restored." So the chieftain set out with a small delegation of councillors and a caravan of camels laden with precious gifts. The Sayyid was received with friendliness and deference by Layla's people. After feasting, the Sayyid said, "I have come to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. My son wishes to drink from your daughter's pure fountain. I am not ashamed of such a request. I have wealth and followers and can be a great friend or a formidable enemy. State your daughter's dowry and I will pay. Be wise, for tomorrow the price may fall." Driving a hard bargain there. But Layla's father was a proud man. Go, Layla's father. Pride goeth before a fall sometimes, but when it involves your daughter, be proud, unlike my misfit parentage, the low-life scum dogs. Is why I am the way I am today, people. Bear that in mind. Do you imagine that you can change fate by wishing? He said. You speak of the outside, but what about the inside? All the world knows of your son's madness. Shall I mate a flawless gem with a faulty one? No. Cure your son first, then you may mention marriage. Sadly, the Sayyid returned to his camp and told his child what Layla's father had said. "Love's fool," he said to his son. "Why must you worship only Layla? In our tribe there are 100 sweetly scented girls with lips like hyacinths." What? I had to think for a minute. So what? Oh, you have to laugh. "Who are as lovely as the springtime. They are surely as beautiful as Layla. Be patient, and you will have what you want." The sea consists of tiny drops of water, the deserts of tiny grains of sand. Bliss will come. It is the turquoise and the seal of God. Let your happiness grow slowly. With patience, you will find another stone, even more precious. I tell you, forget Layla. Choose another, then you will be happy. Majnun cried out in despair. Why did his father not understand? It was Layla, only Layla, that he loved. He fled again to the desert. He tore his hair and sang songs of Layla. He wandered from village to village. At first, crowds of villagers followed, jeering him. But when they came closer and heard his words, not one who listened failed to weep for the singer and his fate. But Majnun did not see or hear them. He had fallen into emptiness. It was as if his name had been torn from the book of life. Oh God, I know how that feels. Do I know how that feels? That's why I'm creating my own beautiful book of life every day in every way. From ground zero, babies. Yet again. Yet fucking again. Well, we can always turn another page. Did I not say 2 months ago that I was looking forward to the Jewish New Year and that it would bring great changes to my life. And wow, I was hoping true love and happiness and joy and delight, which I still have, the happiness and the joy and the delight, because I manifest that. But you can't force other people to love you, I'm afraid. That is a violation against natural law. And it is what it is, babies. But Majnun did not see or hear them. I've read that already, dear goddess. Sorry. He cried to Layla, my beloved, send a greeting, a message, a word. I know you are in prison, but I'm starving for a token, a gesture from you. I have given away everything. My only companion is my shadow. But I do not speak to him, for I do not wish you to have a rival. Once I had your shadow, but that too has been taken from me. Now what is left to me? What hope? My love for you is a riddle which has no solution. It is a code that cannot be deciphered. Don't ever settle for a shadow of someone's love. You deserve to be loved fully and joyously and vibrantly and devotedly in every aspect of your being. Men and women of earth, let the shadows dissipate in the bright light that is your shining glory of your own heart, mind, body and soul, babies. Don't ever cast anyone into the shadowlands. I've lived there for decades. It took me a long time to climb out of it. Don't ever try to put me back there. I'll fight you to the fucking death if I have to. I guess in a way, these videos are me fighting the only way I know how, by stories and by truth and real heartfelt, soulful intentions. He wandered aimlessly until his strength gave out. Then he fell down, prayed for death. Let the rocks fall and crush me. I am an outcast. I bring shame to my father and my tribe. Let me be freed from myself and my shame being there too. From a nearby hill, a group of shepherds saw Majnun fall. They came and made a litter for Majnun and carried him back to the camp of the Banu Amir. There he lay in his own tent, singing songs and calling Layla's name. With a heavy heart, the chieftain called his counsellors again and said, does not the whole world go to Mecca to ask God's blessings? Let us too pray to the Almighty One to cure Majnun. They're kind of idiots, because didn't they say from the beginning the reason why he lost his shit was because he was in love with Layla and couldn't have her? The cure is Layla. Layla, got you on my mind, Layla. Anyway, you have to laugh. But people are stupid how they run around in circles with their heads cut off when it's just so obvious. All you need is a tiny to walk in. Bing, bang, boom, babies. This is how it's going to be, how we're going to hold all this together in a perfect container, sacred and holy and preciously guarded, like a bright glimmering jewel. But it's not up to me, is it? It's up to the gods. So, shh. You know nothing, Jon Snow and Tanya. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Looks so fine. When you took my dog, you took too much. But when you sent me beautiful sweetness in the guise of a man who genuinely wanted to see me happy, even though he couldn't actually follow through with anything because of the situation. It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful gift. I will love you till the day I die, just for that alone. remember that when I get angry, think about all the ways that I should slap you this side of Sunday. But anyway, it is what it is. Everything has its season, and boom, babies. And so, in the last month of the year, the month of the pilgrimage, the Sayyid and his kinsmen departed from their camp and travelled to Mecca. Come here, Charlie. I need you. I need you now. I can make Charlie come to me when I need her. Can't do that with human mortals, but you can do that with birds. She's like, what the fuck, Mama T? Respect my authority. Okay, Charlie, you as the boss of sacred space. You've got to laugh. Right, where were we? They were travelling to Mecca. They devised a litter for Majnun, and Majnun was carried as gently as if he were an infant in his cradle. When they entered Mecca, the Sayyid showered gold coins on the crowds of people. Then, trembling with hope, he brought Majnun to the shrine, and taking his hand said softly, my son, ask God to save you from your passion. Pray to him to end your madness. Pray to him that you will be cured. Amen Bismillah to that one. Majnun pulled his hand away and laughed wildly. Then he stretched his hands to the shrine. He touched the stone and cried, O God, let me not be cured of love, but let my passion grow. Let me love for love's sake. Take what is left of my life and give it to Layla. May my love make my love 100 times greater than it is today. Oh, what a sweet man. What a beautiful man. What a beautiful soul. To you, Majnun, you are my brother in soul and spirit. When the Sayyid heard Majnun's prayers, he bowed his head in grief. The caravan returned to the camp of the Banu Amir. I have tried, the Sayyid told his kinsman, but Majnun will never be cured. Before the holy shrine, he blessed Layla and cursed himself. News of Majnun's laughter at the holy stone soon spread throughout Arabia. When Layla's father heard, he was incensed. This madman destroys the honour of our tribe. He wanders in the desert, dancing and kissing the earth. He really is. Maybe I should marry Majnun. I don't want to be married though. Just slips off my tongue out of force of habit. Don't want to be married. Maybe I should cohabit with Majnun. But he'd be a Muslim man, and we'd get on each other's nerves. Because I'm too old to be the partner of a Muslim man, or even an Orthodox Jew, or any other kind of fucking stereotypical husband type control freak, am I right? I have to chew my arm off. It's already started, the gnawing. But I like my arms. I've got God's name emblazoned on this arm. Don't look, Hashem. Don't look. The chewing has begun. Oh well, never mind. It's only in my own mind, because the other party couldn't give a fuck. Trust me on that one. They watch my videos and probably laugh at me, but I don't care, because it's true. Have a bit of fun before you die, Tanya. Life's short. Be happy. Rejoice. Let me love for love's sake. The people gather about him and listen and learn his songs. His daughter's name is on every man's tongue. Oh. Layla's father sent 2 emissaries to the Sultan's court to register his complaint. Majnun is a man possessed, this messenger said. He dishonours our tribe. Order him to be punished so that the name of Layla will be unstained. I actually think it's kind of lovely that he wanted her to be loved so fully. Like, see, it's the Islamic mind. Always woman hating in one form or another. Maybe Majnun's like that man that I met at the Booklet Standard one night, and I looked at him and said, "What's your name?" He said, "Essie." I said, "No, it's not. Your name's Ishmael, and what is a good Muslim man doing you in this wild club on a Friday night?" And he went white. "How did you know?" And I went, "Because I'm a Jew out in the night, and my holy Shabbat too, so we're both sinners." And then we both threw our heads back and we laughed and toasted each other. And his Australian wife laughed too. They were a lovely couple. Very kind. Even bought me drinks. So you see, find your vibe, find your tribe. The freedom fighters are everywhere, in all cultures. We're not like other humans, I'm afraid. We love too much. We love our freedom too much. Majnun is a man possessed. I read that. So be it. Let him be punished as you wish, the Sultan's prefect said. When a kinsman of the Banu Amir, who was at the court, heard the Sultan's words, he hastened to his tribe to inform the Sayyid. At once the Sayyid with his tribesmen set out to find Majnun. They searched the desert, and after many days found him in a desolate gorge. He was moaning and sighing, talking in verse. His body was wasted, his bones were showing through his skin. Oh, Majnun, that's a bridge too far. Really, do I have to slap you up the side of your head? When Majnun saw his father, he wept. Haven of my soul, forgive me, father, forgive me. What can I do? I am not the one who holds the thread of my fate. Well, actually, dickhead, you are. Hello? Little reality check. My son, you are young. Youth has led you into confusion. Each of us has a weakness which we hide from the world. Our true friends reveal our faults so we can cure ourselves, indeed. I am your friend. Let me be your mirror. If you would marry, you must learn to control yourself. You must learn patience and prudence. I'm thinking about that. Is it worth playing the long game? Someone that was never going to love you anyway and only lead you up the fucking pathway of emptiness and horror and have you chewing your arm off from the shoulders down so that you're armless. Armless! Oh, never mind. It's funny. You have to have had my walk to get why that's funny. If you read that. Layla's father will seek you with the sword. You mean more to me than life itself. Do not abandon me. Oh, I'm really struggling. 2 hours sleep, people. Don't mind me. Return to your tribe so you may be protected, and those who love you may bring you laughter and happiness. My father, your majesty is as great as heaven itself. I kneel before you. Your words scorch me. Your little boyfriend's here, Charlie. Kissing, isn't he? Your words scorch me, but I cannot change my destiny. All creatures are ruled by destiny. It's true. To love Layla is my fate. I cannot throw off my burden. And why should I be afraid? He who goes in search of his beloved is not afraid. My soul is in the fire. No man can harm me. The Sayyid brought Majnun from the rocky gorge to his tent. His kinswoman brought him food and water, and his mother whispered soothing words. His childhood friends came to entertain him, but to Majnun they were all strangers. He stared blankly in the cool darkness of the tent. Even his mother was a stranger to him. After 3 days, he tore open the curtain of his tent and fled again to the wilderness. He roamed the desolate country of rocks and sand. His feet became like iron. The people mocked him, they jeered him, and yet they could find no fault with his songs. In all this time, Layla had become more beautiful. Her gazelle's eyes caught every man who chanced to gaze at her. Her midnight tresses bound them to her. She was thought to be the most beautiful girl in all of Arabia. On the outside she blossomed, but on the inside she was devoured with sorrow. From morning to night she burned for Majnun. She did not reveal her love to anyone, but repeated his name through the hours to her shadow. She lived between fire and water, the fire of her passion, and the water. Look at this hair, Christ, no wonder no man wants me. Even my hair can't be controlled. Oh dear goodness. Well, you shouldn't control a woman like me. We're not made for that. Our magic is deeply powerful, gifted by the gods. And our love is equally, even more powerful. And yet her lover's voice came to her, for he was a poet and no tent could keep out his verses. Are you Twitter-pated, Charlie? Because your birdies are here. I hope she doesn't fly away. She's looking like she wants to fly. Well, it is springtime, isn't it? I've never seen her get so excited about the wild birds before. She usually avoids them like the plague. It's a sign. It's a sign. Don't know what of, but it's a sign. Every child in the bazaar knew his songs. Every wanderer in the desert repeated his poems. Layla heard his songs and secretly composed her own. She wrote them on scraps of paper and threw them to the wind. Any passer-by who found Layla's songs knew for whom they were intended and brought them to Majnun, hoping for a reward of a song. Thus the wind carried the lover's melodies to and fro across the desert. Not far from Layla's tent was a palm grove, which Layla and her companions often visited. One afternoon the girls were singing and laughing and playing. Layla withdrew from the others to sit under a tree and speak with her grief. My faithful one, if only the garden gate would open and you would walk in, you would sit next to me and we would gaze into each other's eyes. You are like an elm tree and I, but perhaps you have already suffered too much for my sake. At that moment, she heard a voice cry from outside the garden wall. Oh, Layla, how can your heart be so frivolous, while mine is wounded by the arrows of the night. When Layla realised it was Majnun's voice, she burst into tears and wept bitterly. One of her friends went to Layla's mother and told her that Layla's heart was still devoted to Majnun. Layla's mother began to watch Layla. She saw her steal out of the tent at night and stand by the gate, waiting. She saw her toss tiny notes to the wind, but she was afraid to speak to her daughter. She was afraid. Charlie, don't chew that. No. No, no. You mustn't chew that. By the gods. She was afraid of her daughter's grief. She was silent. Layla was silent, and both grieved. These birds are having a wonderful time up there. Come on, I know you want to be with the other birdies, I know. It's only natural, you should be with your own kin. Instead of stuck with this old fart human gone off in the bloody spring estrus. I don't even have a uterus anymore and don't have any eggs anymore. So I don't even know what that's about, quite frankly. I guess old people fall in love. My mother got married again at 73, which was outrageous when she was demented, but never mind. C'est la vie, babies. Some days later, a young man from the tribe of Assad, who was journeying across the desert, caught a glimpse through the wall of Layla, sitting in the palm grove with her companions. The man, whose name was Ibn Salam, was from a rich and noble family. He was called Bakht because he always had his way in all his desires. As soon as he returned home, he sent a matchmaker to Layla's father with a generous offer. Layla's father was pleased with the offer, but he said, "Be patient and wait. My daughter is delicate. Give the bud time to ripen." Ibn Salam had no choice but to wait. During this time, Majnun continued to sing his songs and wander through the desert dressed in rags and crying out Layla's name. One day, a Bedouin prince named Naufal passed the gorge where Majnun lived and saw a long-haired, naked creature crouching by a rock. At first the prince did not know whether what he saw was human, animal, or demon. When he heard the creature weeping, he said, "Who is that woeful being?" "That is Majnun," he was told. "He has left his tribe to live in the desert. Day and night he composes love songs for his beloved. People come to visit him and bring him food and drink, but he hardly eats. He drinks very little. He lives only for Layla, his beloved." When the prince heard this, he wanted to help the devoted lover win his heart's desire. He ordered his men to set up a tent in front of the cave and to prepare all kinds of delicacies. But Majnun refused the food and would not respond to any of Naufal's entreaties. Naufal was about to give up hope when he spoke Layla's name. At the sound of Layla's name, Majnun looked up as if he had been... She's going to do it. Look, can you just pull over there? Thanks. Sorry. At the sound of Layla's name, Majnun looked up as if he'd been touched by the morning sun. I'm trying to dodge shits here. I'm dodging shits, people of Earth. Story of my life. He smiled at Naufal and repeated, Layla, Layla. Soon he began to sing, and as Majnun sang, Naufal listened in amazement and thought, this creature is no madman, he is a great poet. You shall have your Layla, Naufal said, even if I must fight for her myself. Oh, hello. I promise you, Layla will be your wife. Hello, little boy. Have you come to check out the talent, you polyamorous, scurrilous little shitbird? He's doing his courtship ritual. He's a beautiful bird. You're a beautiful boy. Yes, you are. But you're cheeky. You're so cheeky. Where's Charlie? Is she hiding? She's like, oh, she's not hiding. She's watching with interest. Come on, Charlie. Here's your chance to make me a grandma. Someone in the fucking family can do something with their eggs. Here we go. Now you know why I'm isolated and alienated from my own family, because I'm just too real. I'm just too authentic, babies. Well, anyway, my beautiful daughters, my beautiful girls, what can you do? You're probably too old to lay eggs now, Charlie, anyway. You're like my human daughters. You've left it too little, too late. Oh. You're very close, Charlie. You're in the frangipani tree, Charlie. It's coming over. It's moving slowly, slowly closer to us. You might be put off by me sitting here with the laptop though, so I won't get my hopes up. Where was I? Majnun leapt up and embraced Naufal. His voice glowed with happiness. But a moment... Oh, here we are. Here, look. Oh, he flew away. He was right here though. Right close to us. Damn it. It's so hard to catch a man, isn't it? He's just going to be back. Even for the birdies. Never mind, Charlie. Better luck next time. She's like, I don't care, Mama. I'm trying to get away from it. But anyway, you have to laugh. His face glowed with happiness, but a moment later he became fearful and cried, But how? Her parents will never agree. They will say, Shall we give a flower to the wind? No, others have tried before. Do not deceive me with false promises. Naufal was even more taken with Majnun's passion and replied, Do you doubt me? I swear to you in Allah's name, by his Prophet Muhammad, that I will fight for you like a wolf. No, like a lion. I will fight until Layla is yours, but in return you must show some patience. Tame your wild heart, if only for a few days. That's never going to work. Never tame the wild ones, babies. Never break us, never control us, never tame us, never contain us, never destroy us. We have ways of going supernova. Majnun went with the prince to his camp. The prince gave Majnun fine robes and a silk turban. In the prince's company, Majnun became the cheerful young man he had once been. In the mornings, the prince and Majnun rode in the desert. In the evenings they feasted, drank wine and listened to the songs of the minstrels. Majnun's bent and wasted figure uncurled, and he began to walk again like a tall reed swaying in the sun. Now Fal was delighted by the change, and daily offered his new companion precious gifts. After a week he became so attached to Majnun that he would not leave his side even for an hour. But the days now Fal spoke of turned into months, and one afternoon, as they were sitting together, a shadow passed over Majnun's face, and he said, "My friend, how can it be that you do not feel my grief? I cannot wait any longer. I beg you, keep your promise. Let a thirsty man drink." Majnun looked so mournful that Naufal leapt to his feet and took his sword. He rallied 100 of his devoted followers and set out for Layla's camp. When he arrived at the camp, Naufal sent a herald with this message: "I, Naufal, have come with an army prepared to defeat you. Bring Layla to me, so she may be given to the man who is worthy of her. Let his longing be satisfied, otherwise we will destroy you like an all-devouring fire." The herald returned with this reply from Layla's father: "Do you intend to steal the sun? The decision is not yours. I will not give my daughter to a madman. Draw your sword. We know how to break you." Now Far, what the fuck is wrong with my face? Look at that. What is that? That'll be from the fucking CPAP mask. Oh, it's all bullshit. Honestly, quite frankly, I've said this for 59.5 years. I hope I die soon. It's never gonna happen. I mean, it will eventually. But it's just endless. The constant grief and heartache and fucked up face now from CPAP and the exhaustion and the spiralling up and the spiralling down and holding my ground on sacred space and reading love stories because I'm pathetic. I mean, where does it end, people? Where does it end? It's a rhetorical question. One never knows where it might end. Now Fal then sent a stronger threat, and the chieftain replied with further curses. Now Fal was boiling with rage. He set out towards Layla's tribe, which by then had prepared for battle. When the two armies met, a great crash was heard in the desert, as if two mountains had been hurled against each other. Swords and spears ripped apart breasts and limbs. Blood from the wounds of the warriors poured into the sand, but Majnun did not take part in the fighting. He watched the battle and trembled. He trembled not from fear, but from suffering. He suffered for both sides. Each blow was a torment to him, whether it struck a friend or an enemy. As the battle continued, Majnun became more confused. He was willing to die for Layla, but he had never intended to have those Layla loved killed. Each time one of Layla's people was struck, Majnun wept. At last, he entered the middle of the battle and cried to God for peace. One of Naufal's warriors, seeing Majnun standing in the battlefield praying, cried to him, "This is not the moment for noble tears. Take up your sword and fight the enemy. Have you forgotten that we are risking our lives for you?" "But who am I to fight?" Majnun said. Your enemies are my friends. If my beloved's heart beats for your enemy, then I must defend the enemy. My home is my beloved's heart. I wish to die for my beloved, not to kill men. Now Naufal fought unflinchingly, but when the sun set, Majnun turned on Naufal accusingly and said, "Your promises were great, but what have you done? You have destroyed any possibility for me to be united with Layla. Now she must hate me for the harm done to her family." "What could I do?" Naufal protested. "The enemy outnumbered us both in men and arms. But I promise you I will not rest until Layla is yours." Naufal sent messengers to all the tribes from Medina to Baghdad. He opened his treasure chests and assembled an army that stretched like an ocean of iron from horizon to horizon. Several days later, at dawn, he attacked again. Layla's tribesmen fought bravely. Naufal fought in the front line, cutting a man's life with each stroke of his sword. The sand turned red. There was so much blood and destruction that by afternoon even the swords were afraid to strike. Before night, victory belonged to Naufal. As a sign of defeat, the elders of Layla's tribe sprinkled earth on their heads. They knelt before Naufal and kissed the ground. They said, "You are our victor. Before you we place our swords and spears. We beg you to allow those of us who remain to go in peace." Naufal was glad to be finished with such grief. "Bring me the bride," he said, "then you and your tribesmen may go in peace." God, all this for a bit of pussy. It's a bit intense, people. An old man, and oh, you have to laugh. And I would love if a man would fight for me just once and for all and be done with it. But no, I always have to do the fighting, and I'm exhausted, and it's a waste of my time. An old man stepped out of the crowd of defeated tribesmen. He knelt humbly before Naufal. He bowed his forehead to the dust. He was Layla's father. He said, "I am old and broken and disgraced by all the blood that has been shed for me. You are my master, but I do not accept that my daughter be given to a madman. Before I will allow her to be given to a man who has disgraced his name and hers, before I would eat at his table, I will kill her with my own hands." Oh, Jesus, they actually do that in those countries. Naufal was moved by the chieftain's fervour. Tears came to his eyes. Then one of Naufal's advisers spoke. "The old man is right. Majnun is not fit or stable. When we fought for him, did he not pray for peace? Did he not roam the battlefield, blessing our enemy and weeping with sorrow when our enemy died? He laughs and cries without—" Stop it, Charlie. Dear goddess, don't chew through the cords. "He laughs and cries without reason." Gotta watch her. Gotta watch her with your eyes on the back of your backside. I'm watching you. Yeah, Bobo alright. Dear goddess. Mama should have followed Bobo, would have saved her a lot of grief. But you can't hide and you can't run from your own bullshit and grief and horror. You have to just keep going, babies. Every day in every way. Hold your own. Hold your line, hold your own, hold your head up high. Believe and receive, as the spirits have been saying to me lately. Tricksters that they are. Liars and tricksters. Never mind. Did he not roam the battlefield, blessing our enemy and weeping with sorrow when our enemy died? He laughs and cries without reason. Such a man cannot be trusted. Seeing that the defeated chieftain was adamant and that his men had turned against Majnun, Naufal gave orders to break camp. As they rode from Layla's camp, Majnun angrily accused Naufal. Faithless friend, why did you do it? Why did you let my hopes ripen and then let them drop in despair? Yes, indeed. Was it for your own glory, O faithless friend? Did you ever intend to let me have my treasure? Without waiting, for an answer, Majnun cried out, Layla, Layla, and turned his horse and galloped off into the desert. Naufal searched for Majnun, but he did not find him that day or the next or ever again. Frankly, I'm thinking about doing the same. Just fucking off out of here. It's been too much control dramas and toxicity and envy and jealousy and spite and it's been full on again. Every time I try and draw someone into my life, even my friends turn odd and controlling. What's that about? It's like, why am I not allowed true love? Ever. It's odd. Odd. Anyway. Majnun rode many days without stopping. He passed abandoned campsites. He spoke to himself of his faithless friend. He had no companion but the desert wind. One day he saw in the distance 3 small black figures. He rode closer and saw a hunter about to kill 2 gazelles he had captured. When Majnun looked at the gentle eyes of the gazelles, he thought of Layla's soft black eyes and cried, I beg you, do not harm the animals. Have they hurt you? Creatures such as these are not meant to be burned. I am your guest, so you must heed my wishes. The hunter had never heard anyone speak like this. But what am I to do, he said. I want to obey you, but this is the first catch I have made in 2 months. I have a wife and children to support. If I spare the animals, my family will starve. Without hesitating, Majnun jumped from his horse and placed the horse's reins in the hunter's hands. Happy with the exchange, the hunter rode away. Majnun kissed the eyes of the gazelles and freed them. Then Majnun walked. Hello, Mr. Turkey. You're all here. Cookie was here too. Then Majnun walked. The sun scorched his feet, thorns ripped his clothes, but he did not notice. At night he crawled into a cave for shelter. The next day, toward evening, he came upon another hunter who had caught a stag in his snare and was about to kill it. I beg you, Majnun cried, release the poor creature, let it live. If his mate had words, what would the hind say tonight without her companion? Imagine her suffering. Imagine yours, if you were caught in the trap and the stag were free. The animal is mine, the hunter said. I do not need to kill it, but I need to survive. If you wish, I am willing to sell it to you. Majnun opened his bag and laid at the hunter's feet what remained of the possessions that Naufal had given him. The hunter was pleased. He accepted Majnun's offering and went away. Majnun went up to the stag. He caressed him gently, saying, Are you, like me, far from your beloved? He removed the cord binding the stag's feet. Be off, he said. Flee. Search for her. Rest in her shadow. That is your place. And should you pass the tent of my beloved, tell Layla that though I am far from her, she is always with me. Tell her that no animal moves or bird sings that does not bring her memory to me. Tell her, my friend. Majnun watched the stag gallop off across the sand. It was now night. The stars came out. Majnun covered his eyes and wept. When he awoke, he wanted to be near Layla. He began to hurry toward her camp, but after a time his strength gave out and he fell to the ground in a daze. In the morning he opened his eyes and saw two strange figures approaching. An old woman was dragging an old man by a rope. The old man's arms and legs were bound with chains. The man was shouting as if he were out of his senses. Stop! Majnun cried to the woman. Who is this man, and why are you torturing him? What has he done? He is innocent, the woman said. He is a dervish and I am a widow. We both have no house or food or way to live. We travel this way so that people will think he is mad and take pity on him and give us food or charity. Whatever we are given, we divide between us. Majnun fell on his knees and said, Release him. I am the one who is mad. Tie me up, put chains on my legs, and take me with you. You can keep for yourselves what I am given. The woman agreed. She freed the dervish and put the chains around Majnun. When they came to a village or even a shepherd's hut, Majnun would sing his songs. Despite his chains, he would dance like a drunkard. He would beat his head on the stones. The woman would hit him, and they would be given scraps of food. So they wandered until one day they came to an oasis, and Majnun recognized the tents of Layla's people. He hit his head against a rock. Tears poured out of his eyes. Layla, Layla, he cried. Oh, Layla, look at me. Because I made you and your people suffer, I am doing penance. I've given up my freedom. I stand before you chained. You are my judge. I am your prisoner. I am guilty even when I am innocent. Stroke my hair. Cut off my head. Do as you wish with me. I am as trusting before you as Ishmael was before Abraham, and yet I do not dare to see you. Then, with a great howl, Majnun tore off his chains. He flung them away and ran from Layla's tents and from the old woman toward the mountains. Soon after Majnun had fled to the mountains, Ibn Salam returned to claim his bride. He brought caravans laden with gifts of gold and silver for the chieftain. Let's see how many pages are left. I'm getting tired, but you can keep going, I guess. I have stamina. I have a lot of stamina, don't I? For a dying woman who keeps not dying. It's getting a bit weird, people are there. Oh well. 9 months to go with the CPAP, and hopefully I'll be healthy and I can invite someone into my life that chooses me and in time. It's not going to happen overnight. It might never happen, but I'm a psychedelic dreamer and I can believe and receive babies like the best of them in my imagination, nothing else, for the love of all the gods. Oh well, it's probably my punishment for not doing Yom Kippur. But I haven't done Yom Kippur for quite some time now. It's not about that. I'm just being sardonic. He was an eloquent and noble man, as well as a mighty warrior. His honour and name preceded him. He brought protection and force. His words could melt a stone. Thousands of men obeyed him. Layla's father did not refuse him. The wedding feast was set. Carpets were spread. For 7 days and 7 nights the wedding was celebrated. There was food, laughter and gaiety. The guests admired the bride's wedding presents, and no one, not even the women, suspected the despair in Layla's heart. After the wedding festivities, Ibn Salam left at dawn with his bride. When the caravan reached the lands of the tribe of Asad, Ibn Salam stretched his arms from horizon to horizon and said joyfully, "My beloved, everything you see is yours. My possessions are yours. My kingdom is yours." But that evening, Layla refused to go to his bed. The next night, she refused, and the next. For a time, Ibn Salam was gentle, but Layla still refused. Then, out of desperation, he tried to force her. "Hello, my little darling girl. Come. But Layla still... Oh, sorry. He tried to force her. Layla struck him and said, "If you touch me again, I will take my life. You may force me, but I have sworn by Allah that I will never submit to you, dear goddess." Well, it is what it is, babies. Nothing worse than a false lover. It's worse than death, to me anyway. I've already died a multitude of times. Death's nothing. But false lovers, that is a curse that reverberates throughout eternity. I've had more than my fair share of that. Trust me on that. Ibn Salam loved Layla so deeply that he agreed to her wishes. He even asked her forgiveness. "I would rather be permitted to look at your face than to lose you forever." So it was that Ibn Salam longed for Layla. Layla longed for Majnun, and a year passed. During that year, Majnun wandered in the wilderness. One evening he was lying under a blossoming thorn tree singing Layla's name when a stranger approached stealthily like a snake. He stopped a short distance from Majnun and rasped in a voice of a demon, "Idolater! Fool! You sing to your beloved, but she is lying in the arms of another man, her husband. Do you think she refuses him? No. She thinks only of kissing and love-making and pleasures. She is like all the other women, fickle and faithless. Never trust a woman with a bird." Oh, it's just delightful. Thank you for bringing joy to my heart today, Charlie. You was a beautiful girl. Yes, there is great joy in our hearts today, in spite of our heartache. Oh, no bites. Never trust a woman. She is peace on the outside and turmoil within. And Charlie is anyway. Projection, she says. Projection, Mama G. Yes, I know. The man who believes in a woman's fidelity is even more stupid than the woman who causes him to suffer. Maybe I should have brought that homeless man home with me. He was gay. He's not likely to try and hump me or anything. Then on the other hand, you never can tell, can you? Maybe I'm an evil woman, leaving him out there alone in the cold and the streets. But he was off his fucking nut. So no. Mama T needs to survive that too. The man heard a thud and a moan. Majnun's head struck a stone so hard that blood spurted onto the earth. The rider's heart was suddenly caught and spun around. Look at you. Look at you, little baby. You're in good old cuddle. It's the first cuddle we've had in ages. She hasn't wanted cuddles for a while. My goodness. Are you feeling smoochy? Are you a smoochy birdie? Ow. Listen to me, the unknown man cried. I was lying, wickedly lying. Layla has not deceived or betrayed you. She was forced to marry, but she has never gone to her husband's bed. She has remained faithful to you. Then the stranger heard Majnun begin to weep. Majnun wept, not knowing which of the words the stranger had spoken were true. The stranger rode away. Yes, it's very cruel to fuck with someone's mind. Very, very cruel indeed. I hate that when that's done to me. Don't you, Charlie? I don't know, Mum. Nobody dares fuck with my mind. I would bite his thing. Yes, wise little bird. Just bite his thing right in the face. But not Mum's face. Mum being a good girl. She's trying very hard to be a good girl. Dear goddess. Obviously I failed at that too. Fail at everything. At the camp of the Banu Amir, Majnun's father was growing weak with age. He was not afraid of death, but he did not want to die without seeing his son. He set out with 2 men from his tribe and asked every stranger for news of his son. At last he came upon a Bedouin who said, Majnun, the mad singer. He is in a cave in the desert, but you will not find the cave. 'Tis too far and too desolate, the old Sayyid insisted. He crossed vast plains, lonely mountains, oceans of sand. Often he thought he would never find his son, but then he asked himself why he had lived, if not for his son. Of what point was all his wealth if there was no one to give it to? At last he came to the cave and saw a man, hardly more than a skeleton, who moved on 4 legs like an animal. Could this ghostly, serpentine creature be his son? Overcome by love and sorrow, the Sayyid went to the ghostly figure and tenderly caressed his head. Majnun looked up. He saw a man weeping but did not know who he was. "Who are you?" Majnun asked. "What do you want?" The old man said, "I am your father." When Majnun heard his father's voice, he cried out. Then he put his head in his father's lap and wept uncontrollably. Father and son wept and kissed each other and held each other. After a time the Sayyid spoke and said, "It is enough, Majnun. You must overcome your grief or it will devour you. Think of something else. Take up silversmithing, big boy. That'll keep your mind occupied. Bejesus." Really is sometimes like that. It's sometimes just mere lack of imagination and boredom. Tempt yourself. Why not? Enjoy the moment. Do not trust in tomorrow. Act as if your life is in death's hands. A woman wears only what she has woven. A man reaps only what he has sown. Even if life has not kept its promises, life is still before you. Majnun, my son, I beg you, come home with me. I am close to death, and I want to spend my last days with you. It's getting cold out here. I want to go inside by the gods. Majnun listened to his father. What's the time? Let me just check. Indeed. No wonder she's getting smoochy. It's nearly birdie big time. Majnun listened to his father. Yes, I know. He put on his silk robe, ow, and the turban his father had brought. For some days, ow, he ate and drank with his father and did not sing to his beloved. Start pulling everything apart. Right. But when the time came for them to return, Majnun said, "Father, I want to obey you, but I cannot. I am no longer the same man. I am a stranger to my tribe. If you ask me how this happened, I do not know. I know you are my father, and I know that I am your child, but I do not remember your name." The Sayyid listened to Majnun and realized that Majnun no longer belonged to him. Then he took Majnun in his arms and said, "Majnun, you are my yoke and my crown. Hold me fast, my son, for this hour must nourish me for all time. Hold me so I may have wonderful dreams in the cradle that is being prepared for me. Soul of your father, we shall not see each other again in this lifetime." 2 days after the Sayyid returned to his camp, he died. He chose the moment of his death, and so his fate. His soul fluttered to rest before the throne of God. One evening a kinsman from the tribe of the Banu Amir, who was hunting in the desert, came upon Majnun and told him that his father had died. Majnun went to his father's grave and prayed and wept and begged for forgiveness. "O father," he said, weeping, "you were so gentle and I was so hard. 1,000 times you offered your hand and I refused you. You prepared banquets and beds for me and I refused. You could not rescue me, but you shared my suffering. You were my companion, my protector, my pillar. Now that you are gone, I have no home, for my home was in the corner of my heart. O Father, I have shamed you. Forgive me." As he made his way back into the desert, he came upon a group of Arabs who stared at him. A paper fluttered from their camp and landed near Majnun's feet. He picked it up. It said 2 words, Layla, Majnun. It was written in admiration of their devotion. Majnun tore it in half, and then he tore up one of the names. The people watched in surprise. One person dared to ask him why he had destroyed one of the names. "With lovers," Majnun answered, "only one name is needed." "But which name did you destroy?" "Layla's." "Layla's? Do you not understand? The name is only the veil. Layla is the face under the veil." When Majnun returned to his cave, the animals of the desert came to live with him. First the lion, then the stag he had saved, the antelope, the wolf, the fox, the wild ass, the hare, the timid gazelles. In time even the vulture came to live with them. No animal ever harmed another. In Majnun's presence the animals had no fear of each other. Majnun was king and his cave was his court. All around were rocks and thorns and burning sand. No place on earth was more desolate, yet Majnun called it paradise because he lived in peace with his friends. Every day Majnun and his animals wandered in the desert and dug among the stones for roots and herbs. As the sun set, they feasted together. Majnun spoke of Layla and sang his songs. The animals listened quietly and bowed their heads. When darkness fell, the fox with his bushy tail swept clean Majnun's resting place and Majnun lay down to sleep. Throughout the night until dawn, the lion and the wolf kept watch. Once, as Majnun gazed fondly at his animals, he thought, "I who live among my friends am surely the happiest man of all." And he told them the story of the king of Merv and the courtier. Once there was a young courtier at the palace of the king of Merv. The king kept a pack of ferocious dogs, and whenever he lost his temper because someone had displeased him, he had that person thrown to the dogs. The young courtier had heard the victim's cries and the dogs barking, decided he would become friends with the dogs. She heard me saying the word dog and she came over for a snuggle. We miss our dog, don't we, Charlie? Yes, we do. We miss all our beloved ones, living and dead. What can I say? It's my fate to be alone. In time when he appeared, the dogs would wag their tails and he was able to pat them without danger. One day, for no apparent reason, the king lost his temper and ordered the courtier to be killed. The guards tied his hands and feet and threw him into the kennels. But when he was given to the dogs, they were glad to see their friend, and licked his face and hands and wagged their tails. That evening the king missed the courtier and regretted his order. He asked about the boy and was told that the boy was most likely an angel, for the dogs would not harm him. The king went to see this miracle boy. The ferocious dogs were nestled happily about him. The boy was released. Several days later, the king sent for the boy. He took the boy aside and said, "Tell me the truth. I do not believe in miracles. How did you stay alive?" The boy was too clever to lie. "Your Majesty," he said, "for 6 years I served you faithfully, but in one moment you forgot my existence. The dogs whom I befriended for 6 months were grateful to me because of the few chunks of meat that I fed them." The boy spoke with daring. The king freed the dogs and tamed the wild beast in his soul. One night Majnun awoke. The night was as light as day. The sky was a resplendent garden of flowers. The planets, holding human fate, danced between the stars. Majnun looked from planet to planet, wondering which one might help him. When his glance fell on Venus, he called to her, "Mistress of dancers and singers, you light up the sky for all who seek happiness." Yes, she does. Your hand holds success. Your wine sparkles in every goblet. Your gift brings life to the tongue. Be gracious to me too. My soul is sick. Who but you can heal it? I beg you, let me breathe my beloved's scent before I die. Then he called to the great planet Jupiter. Star of delight, the structure of the world is yours. You give my fate grandeur. My heart draws its strength from you. You are the one who cares for the souls, who determines our fates. Help me, help me. If there is help for me." What he said. The planets continued on their way. They were governed by another ruler. Majnun cried in despair. The planets were silent. The stars were silent. Then he cried a third time. He cried to the ruler of the stars and planets and said, "You who created the earth, whose name is the wellspring of all names. The 7 heavens lie at your feet. Venus and Jupiter are your servants. All things great and small obey you. I was earth, heavy and soiled. You have changed me to water. Do not let me perish now. Do not let me lose my way." Amen. There's a lot of that too. After Majnun had prayed, a deep calm came to him. His eyes closed. He slept and he dreamt of a tree rising from the earth. From one of its branches, a bird flew toward him. From its beak, a drop of light, like a jewel, fell on his head. When Majnun awoke in the morning, he was flooded with a feeling of happiness that he had not felt in many years. That day, an old man with a flowing white beard approached Majnun's cave. The animals growled, warning Majnun, but Majnun quieted them. "Grandfather," Majnun said, "I do not know you, but I like your face. Still, I do not wish to be bitten again by a stranger. If you come with painful words, retrace your steps." No? Climb on the chair, Charlie. The stranger fell before Majnun and said, "Noble creature, you have made the wild animals your companions. I am not your enemy, but a friend who carries a message from your beloved, a secret message, but if you prefer, I will leave." Majnun's heart began to dance, and he cried, "No, speak quickly." "A few days ago I passed a tented camp. Nearby was a grove of palm trees and a garden. Through the palm trees I saw a light, as if the moon had just risen behind one of the trees. When I looked closer, I saw it was not a planet or a star, but a young woman whose beauty surrounded her like light. She was a shining goblet reflecting the secrets of the world, but her head was bent in sorrow and she was weeping. I approached and asked her, 'Who are you and why are you weeping?' She answered, 'Do you want to wound me even more? Stranger, once I was Layla, now I do not know who I am. Majnun is thought to be mad, but I am madder than he is. He is at least free to wander where he wishes, but I have no one to talk to, no one to trust. I swallow dry grass so as not to speak the poison in my heart. Night and day I burn. Love cries to me, 'Flee!' Reason admonishes me, 'You are not a falcon, you are a partridge.' Love cries, 'Flee!' Reason shouts, 'You are not a man, you are a woman. Beware of disgrace.'" Dear Goddess, beware of disgrace. Forever you are punished even when the disgrace was not yours. Remember that, people of earth. Filthy is what it is. But tell me, stranger, do you know of Majnun? Speak to me of him. How does he spend his days? Where does he stay? Who are his companions? I told her what I knew of you, for who does not know of you? Majnun is without family or friends. I said, his only companions are the wild animals of the desert. Suffering has broken him. His father has died. He writes of grief and love. Then I told her some of your lines, which I know by heart. She sighed and trembled and wept. She sat so forlorn, lamenting your father's death, pardon me, and your memory that I thought she would die. Then suddenly she made a decision and asked me to bring you a letter. The old man took a letter from his bag. He kissed it and gave it to Majnun. Majnun stood there as if he were dreaming. He stared at the letter. Then, as if a demon possessed him, he tore off his clothes and began to dance, wilder and faster. Faster and faster, wilder and wilder. Bit like Mama T at the Brooklyn Standard, am I right? It's a force to be reckoned with. Honestly, I probably look like a crazy person, but crazy is as crazy does. I reap benefits from it if no one else does. He leapt into the air and whirled around and around until he fell to the ground, motionless. Yet his fingers still gripped the letter. When he returned to his senses, his first glance was at the letter. He broke the seal and read, "I begin my letter to you in the name of the King who gives life to the soul. Wiser than all men, the King understands the language of those who cannot speak. As a prisoner I write to you. I know you have broken your chains. I do not know where you live, but every dawn and dusk I see your blood on the mountains. The others slander you, but I know you have remained loyal to me, and I to you. True, I have a husband. He has fame and dignity, but who he is means little to me. I heard of your father's death and bet my face as if my own father had died. Do you understand how I wish to share your grief? The rock splits and crumbles, but the jewel that is enclosed is untouched. My diamond is intact. I am yours." Like a starving man, Majnun devoured every word of her letter. For a long time, he could only say, dear goddess. For a long time he could only say, "Oh God." Then at last he asked the old man for a pen and paper and sat down and wrote to Layla, scarcely pausing, for the words he needed had been ripening all this time in his heart, which is the only way to write a letter, by the way, from the heart, even though it might come out a bit confused and garbled and crazy. The soul knows the intent behind the words. Just saying. Majnun wrote, "In the name of the one who has made the heavens and causes the sap to rise in the springtime, who knows the rock and the precious stone hidden within the rock, who knows the hidden chambers of the human heart, listen to my prayer. My garden of paradise, you say I am the keeper of the treasure house, but I do not have a key which opens the gate. I am a tree in your forest, but you have changed my day to night, stolen my heart, seduced me with words, and made a bond with another man. My ruby, when will this tie with your husband be broken? Even if your husband is a noble man, why should a stranger be permitted to enjoy your beauty? He is a thief who has been given that which he has not paid for. When will the door to the treasure house open? When will you let me in? 'Tis not that I suspect you, or that I hate your husband, but rather that I long for you. I long for your breasts as sweet as jasmine. But even if your faith is hidden from me, you lead me on the path, revealing the true nature of love. It does not matter if there is no salve for my wound. You teach me to forget myself. You caress me and engrave my name in a sheet of ice which melts daily in the sun. Soon after the messenger left with Majnun's letter, another visitor approached Majnun's cave. He was Salim Amiri, the brother of Majnun's mother. He was wise and noble and reputed to be able to find a way out of every impasse. He loved Majnun dearly and often sent gifts to him through caravans, wishing to ease his nephew's misery. He hoped that it might be the moment to bring Majnun home. "Who are you? What do you want?" Majnun called when he saw the visitor approaching. "I am Salim from the tribe of the Banu Amir." "Salim, your uncle." Majnun recognized him and ordered his animals to allow their visitor to enter. He asked after all his family, and Salim saw that Majnun had not lost his senses. He begged Majnun to put on a robe, for it pained him to see Majnun naked. At his uncle's insistence, he agreed that the food that his uncle offered to him, he gave to his animals. "I no longer deserve food," he told Salim. "Grass and a few roots are all I wish, but I thank you for your gifts to my animals." "Perhaps you are right," Salim said. "Birds are caught in traps because they are greedy, and the greedier the human, the more he is in danger. There is a story about such things, the story of the king and the dervish. Once a great king rode past the hut of a hermit. It was a miserable, crumbling hut, a bit like mine. I mean, you have to laugh. And he asked his advisor, "Who can live in such a place?" "Well, Mamati can, that's who." The advisor said, "A holy man lives there who needs neither food nor water." The king, this is where the story differentiates people. Just saying. The king was curious and said, "Let us go back. I want to speak to this man." When the hermit was brought to the king, the advisor asked him, "Where do you find the strength to endure such misery? How do you live? What do you eat?" "Here is my dinner," the hermit said happily, and he showed them some plants he had found on the plains. "What misery," the courtier said. "If you entered the service of the king, you would certainly have better food than grass." "Grass?" the hermit cried. "Sir, this isn't grass. This is honey blossoms. If you knew how good it tastes, you would leave the king's service this instant." The king understood. He embraced the hermit and said, "Only someone who is content with very little is free." "That is my story, Majnun," his uncle concluded. "Some may take you for a madman, but to me you are as wise as the wisest of kings." Majnun thanked his uncle for the story, and for a time he was almost cheerful. But then, suddenly, he thought of his mother. For so long he had not thought of her, but now he asked how she was, and said that he longed to see her beauty again. "I will bring her to you," Salim said. In a week, Salim returned with Majnun's mother. For a moment, when she saw his son from afar, her heart shrank, but then she rushed past lion, panther, and wolf to her son and kissed him. Charlie kisses too. And caressed him. And only after she had combed his tangled hair and washed and tended his wounds did she speak. O my son, you are still drunk with the wine of your youth. Why do you sleep in caves among ants and snakes? The snakes will bite you, the ants will eat you. Come to your senses. Life is brief, indeed it is. It's also very tortuously long. It's a paradox that I've had to learn to surf through as well, by all the gods. Holy One, Day of Atonement is drawing to an end. The Layla prayers are about to begin. But I'm reading a story from the Arabic world, and oh, the irony. It passes as quickly as 2 days. Your father is dead, and I do not know how many days are given to me. My mother, my beautiful mother, forgive me, Majnun said. Let your life be long. I know you are unhappy because I suffer. I did not choose it. We are each given a portion, indeed we are. Some of us a heavier portion than others, just saying. But even if I were to return home, I would die, for that home is a prison to me. You want to free the bird of the soul from the cage, but the cage is my home. The cage is my love. Mother, forgive me. Forgive me for giving you pain. I cannot help it. Majnun kissed his mother's feet and begged her forgiveness. His mother wept and set out for home with her brother, but now her home became foreign to her, for her home was with Majnun. A short time later, she died. Majnun's uncle, oh, I'm being bitter now, Charlie. We really have to go inside and that sucks. It's lovely out here. Majnun's uncle visited Majnun to tell him of his mother's death. Majnun battered his face and bet the ground like glass hitting a stone. He hurried to where his mother was buried. He wailed and lamented. When his relatives saw Majnun's despair, they asked him to stay, but Majnun ran from them to his cave and his animals. His grief needed the expanse of the sky. During this time, Layla waited for a response from Majnun. Night after night, he slipped from her tent and walked to the crossroads, waiting for the old man. One evening, as he approached the crossroads, he saw a shadow in front of her and knew it was the old man. Tell me, she whispered, what news do you bring of my wild love? What does he say? What does he dream about? He says your name, the old man answered. He whispers your name. He speaks your name. He shouts your name. Layla, Layla, got you on my mind, Layla, dear goddess. And the old man gave her Majnun's letter. Layla read the letter and said, I beg you, I must see him. Oh, we're getting rained on now. Oh, bejesus. Well, because of all the electricity, we have to rush inside. People there, we're rushing inside. It's panic stations. Panic, 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 panic. You just run the cord inside. Oh, Charlie. Layla, Layla. תודה רבה, בבקשה. Tanya is doomed to live a life, some kind of life. But I'm going to build a beautiful life, Charlie. One where we all fit. If you fits, we sits. At my shulchan aruch, my table, there will be feasting and joy and delight and gratitude and compassion and mercy and good sex with a wonderful man who adores me. Oh well, that's a bridge too far, but shh, I'm working at babies and working on manifestations. Right, where are we? There we go. By the grace of all that is, was and ever shall be, because otherwise it ain't going to ever happen for me. I'm too short. Too short. Right, where are we? Now I look all yellow and insipid. Out there I looked pale as a ghost. I think I prefer looking pale as a ghost, quite frankly. Right. Might have to plug us back in. Plug us back in. Look at that beautiful bird. Look at her. Really sorry, but I don't want my computer rained on. That would be a bummer. We were at. The old man gave her Majnun's letter. Layla read the letter and said, "I beg you, I must see him." Then she loosened some pearls from her earrings and gave them to the old man, saying, "Bring Majnun to me. Let me see his face. I want one glance of light, and perhaps he will recite a few lines that will unravel the twisted skein of my soul." The old man soon returned with Majnun. Majnun's animals waited in the grove, and Majnun, after putting on the robe the old man offered him, went trembling to Layla's garden. Almost at once Layla came out of her tent wrapped in a veil. She saw Majnun leaning against a tree. He was 10 steps away, but she could not go up to him. She stood, rooted to the earth. Layla turned to the old man and whispered, "I cannot go any further. If I do, I will be consumed. Ask Majnun to speak. He will be the cupbearer. I will drink the wine." The old man went to the quiet figure by the tree and realized that Majnun had just fainted. I was just thinking, such a weak man, but we must remember he is a romantic and a poet and an artist like me, and wow, sometimes that manifests as weakness. A man you have to drag around under one armpit, rubbing the top of his head. I had one like that, my husband, who was a pain in my ass, weak and spiteful and spineless. Can't respect anything like that. Vicious it was. I need a real man for a real woman who knows how to conduct himself properly. Setting me up with other men, it's disgraceful. He gently lifted Majnun up and held him until he awoke. I'm fully conscious that there's probably higher orders behind that too, which is even more disgraceful. When Majnun opened his eyes and saw Layla gazing at him, he offered her the verses he had asked for. Layla listened, but he did not answer. Then Majnun sang the most beautiful song of his life. In heaven we are joined, on earth we are apart. Not death or fear or decay can separate our hearts. Our souls wander freely and choose for all eternity to combine. Mine is yours, yours is mine. Trickster spirits playing with my heart and mind. Evil is what that is. The most profound evil. And never mind. Sloughing it the fuck off. I've had far worse evils than that, by the way. So all that has been achieved by that is to make fools of everyone concerned. Everyone has been played for a fool in that. After a time, Majnun was silent. Layla too was silent. Mama T will never be silent. Hell, I might even scream from beyond the grave one day. That primal scream that idiot Simon at drumming wanted me to do once. He was on to something. Then Majnun fled from Layla's garden. When Majnun returned to his cave, a young man by the name of Salam from Baghdad was waiting for him. Mama T might come back as a banshee when she dies. Oh, I'm going to have so much fun with that. At every lintel I will scream for days and nights. No punching on my front door like that fucking Israeli English Scottish bastard did to me. No, I'll make sure for extra effect there will be a long, loud screaming. You kind of have to laugh. I'm full of shit. You do realise that. I've read too many fairy stories. He had been wounded in love and had journeyed to the wilderness to hear Majnun's verses. Where do you come from, Majnun? Asked the boy. From Journey's End, the boy answered. And when he looked at Majnun, who stood naked, surrounded by his animals, he said, I want to be your slave. I want to serve you and listen to you and guard you and never leave your side. I have been crushed by the millstone of love. I want to hear your songs. Go home, Majnun said. Your place is not with me. You have not tasted my sufferings. I cannot provide for you. I have nothing but my creatures. Even the demons flee from me. Yes, they do, babies. What do you want? You are your own friend. I am not human. I am savage. I destroy myself. For God's sake, the boy persisted, do not refuse my thirst. Let me drink from your well. I am a pilgrim, and you are Mecca. Majnun let him stay. Maybe I should have brought that gay, crazed, homeless man home. He might have led me to the next dimension. Starting to look that way, people. Starting to look that way. Too many people trying to destroy me. For what? For falling in love like a fucking idiot yet again. Oh well, it is what it is. I'll take my love and I'll carry it. I'll carry it for its own sake. There you go. Wasn't that the beginning of the title of the story? Where were we? Let me love for love's sake. It's how I roll, babies. Always have, always will. The love I've poured into empty vessels is enough to make even the gods weep. Yes, my little baby girl, but you loved her mama. You loved her mama. You do. You're my little angel face. Yes? Yes. You're my sweet little baby. She gets it. She gets it. Takes a bird to show what real love is. Sweet and trusting and benevolent and honouring and kind and graceful, joyful and affectionate and communicative, Charlie. I'm not talking to you right now, Mama T. You're being a dick, Mama T. I know. I know when I'm being a dick. It's another gift the gods bestowed upon me. Well, someone has to take control of the situation. Yes. We're back in our own power and our own control. Alone, as per usual. Majnun let him stay. The boy that took from his bag all kinds of delicacies, then took from his bag all kinds of delicacies, and spread them on a rug before Majnun, saying, Be my guest, eat for your strength, do not feed on despair alone. Even the sky is not the same, but changes, revealing new pages in the book of life. Do not be so faithful to your sorrow. I also was broken by love, but God helped me. Laugh, play. In the end, your grief will be lessened, and you will forget. It's true, you know. It takes a long time, but you do begin to forget. Majnun held his anger and said, I am no lovesick fool. I do not crave satisfaction. My body no longer has desire. Love is my fire and essence. The bundle which is myself is gone. Love has entered my house. You do not see me. You see the beloved. How then can love be torn from my heart? The youth repented his careless words. He stayed with Majnun, collecting his verses and accepting the desert life. But after a time, he could not endure so many weeks without sleep or food. He returned to Baghdad, and as he travelled through the villages, he sang Majnun's songs, and the people who listened copied down his poems. And when they knew love themselves, it was with Majnun's words that they sang, for Majnun spoke for lovers everywhere. Indeed. In the book of life, every page has two sides. On one side are our hopes and aspirations. On the other, what is destined for us. Rarely are the two sides the same. Our satisfaction can well be our peril, and our difficulties our salvation. The meaning is there, but it is hard to grasp. Vinegar can prove to be honey, and honey, vinegar. Layla's husband possessed the jewel he desired, and yet his possession was an illusion. Zealously he guarded the treasure to which no path could lead him. Layla rarely asked to see him. She was his wife, but she remained a bride. 'Twas Layla's husband, Ibn Salam, who let go first. Was it fate which released him, or was it the burden of loving without being loved? One day he was suddenly taken ill with a violent fever. The doctor was summoned and gave him healing potions, and he recovered. But as soon as the doctor left, he ate the foods the doctor had forbidden him, and he fell ill again. This time the doctor was helpless. Although Ibn Salam was young, in a few days his soul fled from his body and he died. Ibn Salam was dead. Layla pitied her husband, but mostly she felt relief. At last she was free to weep without restraint. She went into conclusion and wept as a widow might, and no one knew she wept for Majnun. She performed the ritual until autumn, when the trees blazed with colour and the wind rose. During her many months of solitude, she became weak. Then a fever took her, and knowing she would die, she called her mother to the tent and revealed her secret for the first time. "O mother, I am fading away. But what has my life been? I have suffered so much in secret. I must speak to you now. The grief in my heart is breaking the seal on my lips. Listen to me, mother. I am like an autumn leaf on a branch of the tree of life. When I die, dress me in my bridal robes, so I may receive my beloved as a bride. I know my restless wanderer will come to my grave. O mother, I have loved him, and my wish is that you too will love him." When you see my beloved, comfort him as you would comfort me. Speak to him and tell him that when I left the world, I did so thinking of him. Tell him that his grief has always been mine, and I have taken it with me to sustain me on my journey. He cannot see my eyes, but tell him that I will be following him and waiting and asking, "Beloved, when do you come?" Tears streamed down Layla's face. She spoke her beloved's name, and she passed the frontier to the other land. Her mother clasped her to her and tried to breathe life into her. She tore her own white hair and wept and shouted, but to no avail. Even if heaven laments, each must cross the threshold alone. As Layla foretold, when Majnun heard of her death, he came like a thundercloud driven by a storm. He fell on her grave as if he had been struck by lightning. Writhing and twisting in torment, he cried, "Layla, Layla, what do you see? What do your gazelle's eyes see? Where is your amber-scented hair? Where have you melted? In which bowl? Are you in a cave? Where there are caves, there are serpents, live serpents. I am your serpent. I have no other home. Then Majnun jumped up and fled to the wilderness, weeping and singing, followed by his animals. But as soon as he came to his cave, he ran back to Layla's grave and covered the earth with kisses. For a month, Majnun stayed at Layla's grave, guarded by his animals. No one dared approach him. Day by day, he grew weaker. At last, the day came when he had no more strength. That evening, he lifted his hands to the sky and prayed, "Creator of all things, I beg you, in the name of all you have created, release me from my torment. Let me go to my love. She is waiting." Then Majnun lay his head on the earth, held Layla's gravestone, and spoke his last words, "You, my love." For many months, no one knew of Majnun's death, for his animals guarded his body with fierce growls. But when his body had crumbled to dust, they went back to the wilderness. Then Majnun's tribesmen came and gathered his bones and buried them by Layla's side. All that day and for many days after, there was mourning in the camp of the Banu Amir and in the camp of Layla's people. Since their deaths, their story has been told and retold, for never have there been two lovers as true as they. The end. Layla Tov, people of earth. That's Hebrew for good night. Blessed be. Stay safe, stay happy, stay in love with the ones who love you truly back, and let everything else fall into its own natural rhythms and its own destiny and timing and peace. Emet. Bye for now.